Well, good morning, magandang umaga, and welcome to today's episode of My PI Dream. Let's I got to do some running around this morning. I got to pick up some things in downtown Lipa. We're expecting a buying shipment this week. We did a status update online, and it looks like it's going to be delivered any day this week. So we want to make sure we get all of our business out of the way today so that we're at home waiting on the shipment that comes in. With that shipment, we have a bunch of projects that we're going to be doing here around the house. Now, plans for this afternoon, after we get done with our shopping trip this morning, is we're going to do a question and answer session here. I know there's a lot of people that are asking the same questions, both through email and on the comment section. So what I would like to do, I would like to answer a lot of them right directly to you here on the video, because that way it'll get dispersed to a bigger audience, so the questions don't have to be asked many more times in that type of a format. Anyway, let's go ahead and get downtown, take care of business, and get back here as quick as possible. So without further delay, let's get today's video underway. Okay, Ness and I are back from doing our shopping downtown. We got some lunch, and I'm back here in the Bahay Kubo. I guess I have company today. I guess Hapon's going to join me for our question and answer session. Is that right? Okay, you're going to help me. Are you going to answer some of the questions? I hope so, because I might not be able to answer some of them myself. Well, anyway, today we're going to start and get back into the Bahay Kubo Time with some of the questions. I picked out about 10 questions today. I'm saving some of the more intricate, detailed questions that people keep asking about cost, when it comes to cost, because I haven't compiled a lot of that stuff. It's going to take some work for me to pull some records on different parts of the construction that we did during the evolution of Villa Feliz here. We're going to do that. We're going to do some detailed analysis of cost. We're also going to do a review on each one of the vendors that came through and did work here on Villa Feliz as we were building, all the way from the very beginning, from our actual contractor architect all the way through the very end, the very last thing that was done. We're talking about people who did kitchen works, we're talking about window, we're talking about air conditioning folks, installation, everything had to do installation. We're going to rate them. We're going to do it's sort of like a product review. Well, anyway, I'm going back to emails right now, and I'm going back to the most recent questions in some of the comment section on the channel, and I just want to answer. I picked out about 10 of them, and most of them are reoccurring. They're questions that get asked all the time, many times, and I think it's probably better to answer them in this format, so that those of you who watch it, you can get the answers here instead of looking for it in the comment section. And of course, you wouldn't get it in an email, or I would have to CC everybody that asks questions on the channel. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start with number one. And the first thing, just recently, people are making lots of comments about the grass driveway, and they've asked the questions about the grass driveway for a while. Remember, I put down grass blocks. Grass blocks are basically, it's like they have 6 sides and 2 blocks, and you fill the center of them up with grass, some soil, some grass, and it gives you the appearance it gives you the appearance that there is no concrete, or there is no blocks underneath. You're driving in grass. Some people, what they do, they only fill just a little bit inside, so you have that nice look of the block. You see the reddish rustic color inside there. And what we did here, we kind of extended, we kind of put a little bit of topper that allowed the grass to grow from inside the blocks and allowed them to grow over the top of the block. So it gives the appearance that you're driving straight on grass, but you have the support of the gravel underneath and the block itself. Therein might lie the problem, because this is the questions I'm getting from people. A lot of people are asking things like, James, is the grass in the driveway always green? Yeah, it's always green because we water it all the time. Plus, this year, part of the year, it's rainy season. If so, how is that possible? I just answered that question. Don't the car tires damage it in any way? I'm going to get to that in just a moment. Also, questions like, will you be able to drive up the driveway when the grass is wet? That's the question I get asked most about the grass driveway. The grass on top of the blocks. Is it slippery? Does it cause any problem with navigation? Okay, so from my experience, I've been driving on it now for probably, I don't know, about a year. I guess about a year, up and down. Obviously, you know, I'm making it up and down. But what I did, I had my gardener broadcast a thin layer of what I call topper, when I said earlier that causes the grass to all grow all together seamlessly, so it looks like nothing but grass out there, like you don't have anything underneath. You're driving on grass, although you have the support underneath. Now, I don't really have a problem with it being slippery. Of course, I put it in 4-wheel drive. If you did not have a 4-wheel drive vehicle, I would probably say going back up to get out onto the street, you might have a little bit of a problem, or it might be a little bit slippery when everything is wet and you have that extra layer of grass on top of the brick itself. This is wood, but we'll say on the top, not in the hole, because you'll be sliding on that. But with the 4-wheel drive, even with the grass on top of that, I have no problem backing out of that driveway. No problem whatsoever. But what I found out, and I just found this out because we just completed everything, is when we are in this season, rainy season, monsoon season, it does, in the spots that hold more dirt, more soil than others, it becomes muddy. You see, because it's probably about, I don't know, maybe a couple of centimeters, not even a couple, not even a centimeter, maybe a 1/4 inch thick. And what it does, it pushes out that soil and the grass that's on top of the brick, and it makes a little rut. I noticed that the other day. That's why I'm parking out in front of the street right now, trying to get it all dry. When it's dry, it makes no difference. It's like hard, compacted soil on there. I have no problem getting it out, and it doesn't damage it. Anyway, enough on that topic. A lot of people asking the question about the cistern. As many of you know and have been following the episodes, we did cistern leak-proof repair. We started it at the end because my contractor, when he built the cistern, I don't think he'd ever built a cistern before. I think we are number one. And he didn't understand the dynamics required behind building a cistern that holds water with pressure pushing out, with walls that are pushing in from something that's underneath the ground. Obviously, he didn't know anything about waterproofing because one of the things we did with Feliz is we built a basement, and I had to show him how to do the waterproofing on that, which is going to be a question coming up, by the way. The cistern, yes, it's still leaking because it was leaking when we left in March, at the end of March. It was leaking, and I still have to contact the company that came and did the secondary waterproofing on there to complete it. They did a test, it leaked. Even when they put their solution on there, it leaked. And they have to do something else. The extensiveness of the leak, I think the whole thing has to be another layer of the coating of whatever they use. Now, what I used on there was a product called Cambridge. I didn't use it, my contractor used it. But what I found out is Cambridge is really good for waterproofing like a floor, like a patio, an outdoor patio, a wet room, or even a wall for basements, but it is not good for retaining water because the elasticity of the Cambridge is a little bit less. There's less elasticity than you would have with something like Rebar, a product that we use or that I use in the U.S. when I do a renovation, say like of a bathroom. So anyway, we still have work to do on the cistern. Okay, another good question. Is about humidity in the home when you are away for a long period of time. I'm looking out for mosquitoes around here. This has been really wet. Remember, we had all this monsoon. As a matter of fact, it's going to be a topic of conversation again today. Spoiler alert. Anyway, humidity in the home, a big concern because humidity in the home can cause mold. And here's the question from one of the subscribers. It says, did you have a problem with humidity in your home while you were away? Mold or mildew? Would you consider running a dehumidifier on a scheduled timer while you're away? Excellent question, and I will tell you right now, it's a very good idea to have something, either a dehumidifier like the question the subscriber asked, and you could put it on a timer, either a smart plug in the wall where you can turn it on when you wanted to turn it on, or on where it runs once or twice a day. It's a good idea to do it. What I do, and I know by experience about mold inside a house. We had a problem not here at Feliz, but we had a problem with our home in the U.S. In our sunroom during the winter time. Remember, it's warm inside, it's cold outside. What happens is you get condensation from the heat and the cold mixing together on the windows. That provides moisture inside there. Moisture provides food for mold to grow. One year we had a problem. We had mold on the walls. We had mold on some of the furniture. So what we did is the next year we use the basically the dehumidifier option inside our air conditioning unit. Every air conditioner, your air conditioner itself is a dehumidifier. Even when it cools, it takes wet air as it circulates, and it provides dry air inside there. So you could do a couple of things. You could actually put a dehumidifier inside a room, or what you on a timer. Or what you could do is if you have an existing air conditioning unit, you can set it up on a timer. Like all of ours have the ability to set these up on a timer. Also, some air conditioning, especially split level units like the one we have, you can remotely control them around the world via Wi-Fi, or what you can do is you can set a schedule up for it to come on, turn on and off at scheduled amounts of times. But yes, it's a great idea. Even a fan inside of a house, or open windows. Now, the fan presents a problem. If you have a fan running inside your house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless you have it on one of those smart plugs and you can do it on a timer or even a manual timer. That's okay to do that as well. You can run it now and then, but if you run it all the time, you risk the chance of the motor actually catching on fire with the brushes inside, because remember, after a certain amount of time, there's brushes, little carbon brushes inside most fans. They will give up and can cause some sparks, some shorts, and cause a fire. But another thing that you can do is leave a window open. Leave a couple of windows for cross ventilation. Cross ventilation, as long as you have airflow through a house, it will help along with getting rid of all of that mold inside there. Airflow is one of the key factors of preventing mold. Now, if you do that, you need to make sure that you have security on your windows, and you have to make sure that the window that you have maybe has an awning or something that will prevent water from a storm blowing back inside your house. So enough on that. Another question somebody asked about was dengue. Dengue! Oh, dengue in the Philippines. If you've been in the Philippines, you've heard about that. One of my subscribers sent something that there was maybe a dengue outbreak actually in the Lipa area, that the mayor had some type of a warning out about that. I don't know about that. I haven't heard, but I'll have to ask about that. Now, dengue is a serious thing. There are other diseases that are mosquito carried diseases around the world, even in the U.S., even in South Carolina, where I come from, in Africa, in different places. Mosquitoes carry diseases. You have to be careful about that. The best thing, I've known of 2 cases. Of course, I've heard of other people getting it, but I only personally know of 2 cases. Our contractor's daughter, she had dengue shortly after we returned last time here, and she was treated in the hospital for that. And we had one of our friends inside the barangay also contracted dengue, and it makes you very, very sick, and it's something you must really take serious. So anyway, make sure you put on the mosquito repellent. I'm sitting out here talking and I didn't put the mosquito repellent. I need to get some on my, especially around my, they love my ankles around here. So anyway, make sure you take precautions when you're out, especially early in the morning and at dusk. That's when they're the most active. About now. Let's see. Another question I had about sending tools to the Philippines. I'm always getting questions about sending tools to the Philippines. One of my subscribers says, I'm planning to retire there in the Philippines next year, and I got a question for you. Is it cheaper to buy tools in the Philippines or in Canada? I'm thinking about setting up a garage sale and sell all my power tools, wrenches, hammers, etc., etc. Should I ship them all to the Philippines, or will it be cheaper or more practical to buying it in the Philippines? My biggest recommendation, I get this question all the time, is they have lots of tools over here. All the big box stores, Wilcon, City Hardware, they have almost the same equivalent of tools that you can back in the U.S. and Canada, in Europe, in Australia. They have a great selection of tools over here. Now, if you have a specific tool that's a very specialized tool that you're very fond of, first of all, go online and look at places like Wilcon, City Hardware, or Lazada, and see if you can find it over here. And I will tell you right now, going on websites, especially like Wilcon, the website is very difficult to navigate. When you put in something inside there, I don't know, a search word, you'll get something totally opposite, or you'll get no results from it, even though that they sell it inside. So you can ask a friend too, a friend or a family member, if you have somebody over here, to look and see if they have it inside. Now remember, the Philippines is 220, North America is 110. Places that are 110, 120 voltage, remember, if you're going to use your tool over here, you're going to have a transformer, a 220 to 110 transformer to use that. And when you're using something that has a lot of amperage, you're going to have a larger size. And I did an episode on doing the calculation for transformers, if you look in one of my earlier episodes. Do I recommend it? No, I don't recommend sending it over unless you have a special tool or something that maybe that has some type of personal value, like you got it from your father or something like that, and you want to keep that tool. Okay, let's go on to transportation. People are always asking about transportation. How do we get from the airport when we fly in down here to Lipa, or wherever you are planning to go? Anyway, my recommendation, there's all kinds of transportation. In the Philippines, you have jeepneys, tricycles, taxis, motor buses, the big buses like Greyhounds we have in the U.S. My recommendation, if you are traveling any distance away from Manila, I'm talking about if you're going an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or something like that. My recommendation depends on what your luggage is that you're carrying, and it also on your budget. If you are traveling close, and it depends on what time of day it is as well, I recommend taking buses. All you do is from NAIA at the international airport, you get a taxi, take you to the closest the terminal. I can't think of the name of the terminal right now. I'll try, but there's a terminal that we have that's over by, like, if you're going towards the Mall of Asia and all. There's a terminal there that goes, but there's plenty of them all over there, and most of them are maybe a 15-minute taxi drive to get you to the bus terminal. And you can take a bus. The bus is very inexpensive, very inexpensive. We're talking, I don't know, it seems to me like it's like 100, 150 pesos or something to take you someplace that's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours away. Now, the most convenient thing to do is direct, door to door. You can get a shuttle service. You can get a van. You can get a van to come pick you up. They call it a service. You can hire a service, which is what we always do. We hire a service to take us directly from the airport all the way to here in Lipa, to our front door. So it's door to door, airport door to our Villa Feliz store here. Now that's going to be extremely more expensive than taking a bus. Most services, I'll give you an example for us. Going from NAIA to this area right here is about, I'm gonna say, somewhere around 5,000 pesos, somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000 pesos, $90 to $100 for that service. But it's door to door, it's convenient, and it's 24 hours a day. You're scheduled. If you fly in at 1 o'clock in the morning, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to get a bus. The buses stop leaving at a certain time of night, so you won't be able to make it over to the bus terminal. Anyway, that's how we normally do it. We do it on the service. We hire a van. And how do you find some of these vans? My recommendation is to find somebody, get a family member or a friend from the town that you're going to, and ask them for a recommendation to hire on a van. We get it's like a 9-passenger type of van, so we have enough room for luggage in the back. Usually family members hop on here in Lipa, come up there, and ride with us on the way back. Okay, about transportation. Let's talk about leaving. Questions about leaving a vehicle for a long period of time. Tip. Somebody left a tip, and their tip was, next time disconnect the positive lead on your car battery turn before you leave for an extended period of time. That is true, but your battery will still even wear down depending on how much time you are away. Now, the problem we had here at Villa Feliz with the Hilux, the battery was connected this time, and you have computers inside that run all the time. You have services that run in your car. They draw very little bit of voltage, but very little bit of voltage over a long period of time will drain your battery. Now, what I do in the US, which is what I'm going to start doing here, I use something that's called a trickle charger. A trickle charger will connect to your battery, and I can't think of the name. I'll try to put information here. Let me look real quick. Okay. I just remembered. I didn't have to even look. What I use is a product called Battery Tender. Battery Tender. They have a Battery Tender Junior. They have a Battery Tender Junior 800. And what these things do is they do a trickle charge onto your battery. So what happens is when your battery charges up all the way, it stops charging. It's a smart monitoring device. As it goes back down from those computers and onboard items inside your vehicle, it will start charging back up again. The good thing about it shutting off at a certain period of time, unlike a regular battery charger that you would normally charge a dead battery with, is it will not overcharge your battery, the Battery Tender or the trickle charger. What happens is if you use the traditional thing, if you go to like a service station, a gas station, or a place that services batteries, they're going to put it on a quick charge. It will take, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 hours to be able to charge up a almost dead battery, but you can't allow it to continue, especially lead acid batteries, because what will happen, it will start boiling everything inside and it will destroy your battery. But the trickle charger doesn't do that. I've been using it for years and years on my vehicles in the US, and it has a little adapter you can screw onto the terminals on your battery with a real quick disconnect plug, so that when you come back and you're ready to drive, you just pop that off, you put your little trickle charger away, and you're ready to go, and your vehicle is just like it was brand new the day that you left. So that's my recommendation when it comes to that. SRRV. We always get questions about the SRRV, about retirement visas here inside. Of course, we talk a little bit about 13A, 13G, and the SRRV, the different types of SRRV. I'm not going to get into that today because I have 4 episodes on the SRRV. So if you're interested in retiring and you want to know if the SRRV is right for you, I'm telling you here, I'm not gonna send the information in an email or in a comment section, because I've already done this in a very comprehensive and detailed video, 4 videos, and they are How to Retire in the Philippines Part 1 and 2, and SRR Visa Update Part 1 and Part 2. You'll get a lot of information hopefully from that to decide whether that's the type of visa that is right for you. Cost of building a fence around a yard. Well, again, I wasn't going to get into anything that had to do with cost, but this was one specific question that one of the subscribers asked in an email. It has to do, they said, I'm hopeful that you could give me some idea of what it will cost me to put up a block fence wall around our property, how to find a reputable contractor. Well, I will say this, I didn't get any details on the size. He didn't send the size of the wall. It's all going to be based on materials and labor. That's all you have to do. You can calculate all this stuff yourself. And I'm going to give you an example right here. If you want to calculate, and it comes down to even building a house. If you want to build a house, you can calculate approximately how much it's going to cost to build a house based on labor and materials. And if you have a contractor, then you have to add in the contractor's cost as well. So say specifically for like a fence here at Villa Feliz, if I wanted to calculate how much it is, and I went back and I was trying to find the cost, but my builder, when we built the fence here, he built that. It was integrated into the package price of the house, although it became a different price because it got designed differently at the very end, and I paid for ironworks that were different. But we'll get into that on another day. So basically, when I say materials, cost of labor, and then what was the other things? Let me go ahead and read. I took some notes right here. So let's talk about materials. Concrete hollow block, fine sand, 3/4 inch gravel, concrete, rebar, GI wire, and paint costs. And there are a couple other little ancillary costs that go along, and we'll talk about that. Plus labor cost. Plus, if you have a contractor doing it and you're not doing it yourself, if you're not hiring your own laborers and you're managing it, expect to pay about 20% on top of the entire project cost for your contractor to oversee the project. Then if you're not doing, say you're doing something that's a little bit more elaborate and you have ironworks inside there, it's not just a brick wall. You have to add in the ironworks cost, and that can be quite expensive. That can be as much or more than the entire concrete hollow block wall that you're putting in, because that's a specialty. And then you also, if you're doing it yourself and you don't have a contractor, then you have to add in something like a mixer. You're going to have some type of mixer, unless they're manually mixing it out in the street. When I say mixing, I'm talking about mixing the concrete and the gravel, the concrete mix that fills inside the concrete hollow block. And any applicable permits required for the construction. So you add all these things you need for it, you'll get a ballpark idea of what your project would cost to build a fence. Basements. Let's go. Let's talk about basements. We talked enough about the walls. And this is our last topic right here. So the basements. Question is, a basement will be awesome for me for a number of reasons. I think this was a person who had some type of medical issues, and they would like a basement because of it's cooler. It's so much cooler inside the basement, and quieter. And there were many. Oh, they say right here, it would be awesome for me for a number of reasons. Climate control avoids some of the neighborhood burning and karaoke noise. My future question is about keeping out water. I've done quite a bit of research on that, but since I've never built a basement before, I'm a little concerned about flooding and keeping snakes out. Of course, we're all worried about both of those issues. And my biggest concern had to do with waterproofing, because my contractor didn't have a clue, and didn't have one clue about waterproofing. He thought you could just put a wall, sink it inside the ground, dig a big hole, put up concrete hollow block, and just put the soil right on top of it. But you can't do that. You have to be very careful if you're down inside the ground, because concrete is porous. Concrete hollow block is porous. Even concrete is porous. Rock, in a way, is porous. So what you have to do, you have to protect the water from coming inside. So when you put your slab, and when you do a slab in your basement, when you first start, you dig your hole, you excavate, you dig your hole, and you put your gravel down inside there, which is going to be the very basis for the slab that's going to be set on top of that. You also need some type of like a vapor barrier to go between your slab and all that crushed rock that you have underneath the bottom, underneath that. Then what you're going to want to do for the exterior walls, this is very, very important, is you need to have a good waterproofing solution on the outside wall all the way down to your floor beam. That's the deepest part of your sunken basement, where your footers are going to connect. Your floor beams are going to connect to your footers that connect to your columns. You want to make sure that you have on all your exterior walls that are beneath ground level. You want to make sure you have an exterior waterproofing solution. What we chose here, what I talked about earlier, was the Cambridge waterproofing solution that we put on the outside. That along, if you want to, you can even put a waterproofing solution on the inside, but if you have a good waterproofing solution on the outside, it's not necessary on the inside. Plus, you also have to make sure, especially if you have a building that's being built and you have like one story underground, a story on one height, and a story, you have a lot of pressure that's going down. You might want to consider doubling up on your wall thickness for your basement. We went with, I think we went with 6-inch concrete hollow blocks times two thicknesses, with an overlap in between each one of the joints, so that with what we call buttering, where you butter the concrete mix, or the mortar mix in between, so they're like buttered together, so they're like peanut butter and jelly sticking the blocks together. So all in all, we have almost a 14-inch thick wall in the base, and that has to do, which you really don't use it so much for. Walls made out of concrete hollow block are really not meant to do support. That's what your beams and your columns are for. They do all the support. But when you have something like a lot of pressure going down, there's a chance that a slab can push down a little bit. There's also a chance that your beam can push just a little bit. It's not going to be very much, and there'll be a little bit of positive pressure on your wall. So you want to make sure that you have a strong wall, especially on your basement level. That's why we went with the double thickness. Proper waterproofing, good thickness. Now, it's also recommended that you have some way to keep water from getting inside your basement or your basement garage, and that would be when you have trenches with pipes, things to get your water away from your house to a storm sewer. And what we also did, as you know, if you followed the Villa Feliz series, we also have a sump in the very center of the basement, with the floor slightly tilted at probably about a 0.5% grade, that takes all the water down to that sump, with a sump pump inside there. So we have our bases covered all the way around. So anyway, that's about it. That was pretty long. I think next time we're gonna have to do about maybe 5 questions for Bahay Kubo Time. I think I went really long on this. I'm gonna have to do some editing to try to shorten this up as much as possible for today. Now, what's up for the rest of the week? I have a bag buying shipment that I've been tracking, and it should be here any day now. that buying shipment has some really neat DIY projects that we're going to do here at Feliz. It was things that I thought up before I left for vacation, and it has things that I picked up and thought about while Ness and I were back in the U.S. on our vacation. So those should be here, and once we get those in, we'll unpack those and we'll get some of those projects underway. I think you'll enjoy some of them. I think you'll enjoy a lot of them. I hope that you'll enjoy all of the projects that we'll be doing here. Some of them are really fun projects. Some of them are kind of work, some repair type things. But I think you'll get into them as well. And whatever comes along the way, we'll try to keep up with those updates around here as well. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up. Please share, and if you have not subscribed, just click on that little My PI Dream heart in the bottom right hand side of your screen. You'll be subscribed and you'll be notified the next time I upload a new video. So until such time, you have a wonderful and blessed day. If you enjoyed today's episode and you would like to see more just like these, just click on one of the helpful links over to your right and you might be able to pick up on some good information on DIY projects, how to, or if you are interested in moving to the Philippines and building, you'll find answers there as well.